The following program is sponsored by the LaGrange Park Antique Mall.
This is Backstage Antiques from RBTV. I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. We have some interesting things tonight that we can share with you. This is my compatriot, Loretta Harwood, and she's an ISA appraiser. Loretta, did you want to get started tonight?
Yes. First, I'd like to say that we are doing our best in the short time that we have, but these are verbal verbal approximations. They're not a true appraisal because the time that's needed to do it, but we're doing our best to give you the best value that we know with our knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, Matt, you had some pictures you wanted to show?
Yeah.
You need to hold them up
Okay.
so that people can see them out here.
This picture right here is of Reggie Phillips during the Super Bowl. I think it was '85. The Chicago Bears went there and he scored one of the touchdowns. And it's signatured right there. And I have another picture of Bob Patterson, former Cubs player and pitcher, and this is also signatured.
And Loretta, you had some ideas on those?
I think that the enhancement of having them framed keeps it in a better, a better condition. I wouldn't take that out of that plastic. Value-wise, because they are signed, not authenticated at this time, but if they are the authentic, probably the Cubs would be 100, 110. The other fellow probably a little less than that, maybe 75. But it's a nice part of a collection.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. This is Christine Vernon. Christine, thanks for coming this evening. You've brought with you a pair of Oriental figures. What do you know about them?
I bought them at an estate sale, and I know they're a Mandarin couple, and I've heard different things about them. No, they weren't presented as any specific thing. I knew that they weren't ivory because they don't have the kind of striation and coloring, but I wasn't sure if they were bone, or I was told they might be resin mixed with bone or resin, or so. I like all things Asian, so it didn't matter to me what they were. But
how long ago did you buy these?
this year.
This year?
Yeah.
One of the things that you can find out about them is by just listening, and it's just very solid. So you know that, and they're very heavy. So that's the first clue, of course, that they're not Japan, China, that kind of thing. They probably weigh 15 pounds a piece. They're really heavy pieces, and they're great decorative items. I would say probably from the 50s. Is that about what you would say? And they're what they would call vegetable ivory, which is just a composition of, basically it's celluloid. It's a type of plastic.
So it's a kind of resin then.
Right. And then they finish it off with raw umber to give it the detail and stuff, which is beautiful. I would say that decoratively they're worth about $150 for the pair.
Okay. And they make wonderful bookends.
They're great. I just love them. And they are Mandarin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Len Wilk has brought us a really interesting pocket watch. What can you tell me about the watch?
Was given to me by a friend, and the only thing I do know is it doesn't work.
Well, it doesn't look, I mean, I'm sure it can be repaired, okay?
Yes.
It's not so old that parts wouldn't be available for it. It has a CD peacock on the face, which indicates that it was a good watch when it was sold, because CD Peacock only handled good quality items. There is no mark that indicates if this is gold or not, but it's 15 jewel, and it's it has some Art Deco look to it, and probably around the 1900s to maybe 1920. Value is probably, because it is collectible, not knowing how extensive the repair work might be, but the watch, if it were brought up to par, in other words, in working condition, I feel that it would bring in excess of $200, and maybe quite a bit more. I didn't see any gold markings on the fob, but
I would assume that it's got to be plate.
I would think so.
Right.
I would think so. But it's a lovely piece. It is monogrammed, which does decrease the value to some extent. But it's a gorgeous piece.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you. Hi, Donna.
Hi.
This is Donna Knight, and she's brought to us this evening a nice little chronograph watch.
Correct.
And what can you tell us about it?
It was my dad's. It was one of the first watches that he had bought when he came to America from Lithuania back in the 40s. So,
Well, I placed probably the 50s
Okay.
on this. Unfortunately, it's not working, which does,
take away from the value.
affect the value. But it's unusual, and I'm sure that you have the original band. In an as-is condition without it working, I would value it at probably around $100.
Okay.
And it's a Swiss watch, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing it.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Diana Short, and this evening she brought to us her Red Riding Hood Hull cookie jar. These were popular in the 30s or 40s, and they're still very popular today. This particular piece is indeed marked Hullware, Red Riding Hood, patent applied for USA, and that's a complete full mark. It's not in too bad a condition. There is a chip under the lip, and frequently they call these no-harm chips. I don't know if I'd say it's a no-harm. There's a very small chip on the foot, and there are a couple of small hairlines under the lid. These all account for condition. The paint, however, which is cold paint, is in very, very good condition. I understand you don't scrub it or do too much to it. You need to just wipe it with a damp cloth if it feels dirty or looks dusty. And the decal is just a little bit worn, but it's not bad. And she's in very good condition compared to some of the Red Riding Hoods I've seen. If she was in mint or excellent condition, I would say that she'd be worth $350 to $475. But in her current condition, I would still say you could get $275 to $325 for her. Now, you said this was a gift?
Yes, a girlfriend gave this gift to me because I had one when I was a little girl, and I lost it when my mother died. And I seen it at her house and told her why I wanted it, and she gave it to me as a gift.
That was a
It was
wonderful
like
gift.
9 years ago she gave it to me.
Such a wonderful story.
Yeah, it was.
That's a great thing.
Very sentimental,
Well, thank you for
very.
sharing your gift with us this evening.
Thank you.
You're watching Backstage Antiques at the LaGrange Park Antique Mall. And now, let's go back to our dealers.
Linda Sedlak, I have to tell you that you have brought into me some of the coolest pieces that I've seen. I've always heard of these. I've seen them in pictures. I think I've seen them on television.
Oprah.
Oprah
had them on her
I don't think
program.
I've ever seen them in person before, and they are fabulous. Nowadays, people call these bobbing head dolls. Back when they were made, which was in 1964, they were car mascots. People actually put them on their dashboards. Just like when we were kids, you'd also see like nodding tigers in the back window. These guys would go along with your tunes.
Yes.
You don't find the full set. You don't find the full set in this kind of condition. These are the epitome of collecting 60s memorabilia. And there are Beatles collectors out there that would just give their right arm for these. You're very lucky. I would say that right now those are selling for around $1,200 for the set. They're very hard to find.
Probably in the right auction.
They go much higher. Yes, especially if you get into a Beatles auction.
I don't have the boxes though.
Oh, I
That's
think
the
it's
only
okay. The boxes
boxes.
would really bring them up. How did you get them?
My uncle was selling them back years ago for some company, and he had given them to me. And I never really was a fan of the Beatles. But
No, you
I have to
are?
say that not well. I don't know. I liked Herman's Hermits.
Oh, yeah, I
But
like them too.
Unfortunately, they didn't have bobbleheads. But I have kept them on my dresser, and then I don't know. I never.
Wonderful.
just put
They're
them away.
wonderful pieces.
Wonderful condition.
You've
Yep.
kept them in great shape. I'm sure you enjoy them.
Yes, pass
Enjoy
them down
them.
to my son. He's in the
You
music.
don't have a cat. do you?
5 of them.
Oh, really?
Keep them away from the
No,
cats.
they're not.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Susan Regatius brought this cute little cow litho. It's a really sweet little bovine scene out in the country. And they all look like they're having a good time. You can almost see some of them saying, "Got milk?" It's a great little piece. And it is a chromolithograph. It's dated copyright 1900, and it's by the Prang Company. And Prang has been around for a very long time doing lithography work. He's very well known for it. And yes, it is the same company that's later made the watercolors. They're very well known for art and art items. It's a wonderful little print. Probably the thing that would bring up the value more would be if it was in color rather in the black and white or sepia tone.
Okay.
Only because some people don't like pieces that are dark. Personally, I like them. So it just depends on the person who's seeing them. But I would say that this piece is $125 to $145.
Right.
And I love it. You sure you want to go home with it?
Yes, I do. Even more now. Thank you very much.
This is Larry Minetti. Larry, how are you this evening?
Fine, thank you.
This is an Omega watch. What can you tell me about it?
Not too much. I got it from my father-in-law. He gave it to me. He collects watches, and he has a. It was kind of a unique piece, and he just thought that he wanted to give it to me. So I'm not sure when he got it. And
It is a different piece. It's not a watch that you see.
Yeah.
So that has appeal to a collector. It is a chrono quartz, probably from the 50s. And it's an Omega. It probably doesn't have a high value, but it's kind of got a little bit of a retro look to it, so you never know how a collector of, but I think probably a max would be $75, unless it's the right collector that's looking at it, but it is unusual.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Paula Minetti, you have brought us a gold sovereign that's been turned into jewelry.
Yes.
And how did you get this?
This was a gift from my grandmother about 40-some years ago.
And you don't know anything else about it?
No, other than she used to give the granddaughters and the daughters a gold sovereign, either a half sovereign or a full sovereign
Okay.
as gifts.
So it was a tradition.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a 1918 George V gold sovereign. It's a really interesting piece. One thing I have to tell you, and it's kind of important and interesting for people that don't know about coins, and that is that as a coin, it no longer has very good value because it's been turned into jewelry. It can never go back to the state of being a regular coin. But as a piece of jewelry and as a jewelry gold sovereign, it certainly has value, and it certainly has gold value. So I would say that it would be between $500 and $700 currently. Oh my God. Now, you said that the necklace itself is damaged, and that's not a problem. You can take the original chain off and replace it. It won't affect the value of the piece.
Okay.
So thank you so much for bringing it in. It's a very pretty little piece.
Yeah, it is. I love it. Thank you.
Hi, this is Carol, and she's brought with her this evening this very interesting little pattern glass piece. It's a fruit bowl, I believe. And Loretta has something to tell us about it.
Well, it is pink satin glass, which you know.
Yes.
And it's footed. It's a possibly, could be a Fenton, an early Fenton piece, but it does not have the Fenton mark. The book value of this would probably be $175 to $200, but the market on glass, on pressed glass, is somewhat depressed right now.
Yes.
So probably $125 in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the nice things about it is it's not clear. Clear pressed glass is severely depressed. Colored pressed glass still has a higher value. But it's a lovely piece, and it's not a common piece by any means. And it's delightful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing it in. It's a neat piece.
Mm-hmm. It's a little different.
It is.
It is different.
Lawrence Brandon brought this Capodimonte table in for us to look at today. And it's your typical Capodimonte decoration in that you can see the putti on it and the fruit, which are very common motifs for Capo. And you can see the hand painting and the detailing that goes into it. Mm-hmm. So it's a really interesting little piece you've brought in. Solid and heavy, I noticed. This particular piece is probably from the 30s to the 50s, I would say. It could be a little later than that. And it's about $300 to $500.
Okay.
So thank you so much for coming.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Backstage Antiques. I'd like to thank the audience, and I'd like to thank Loretta Harwood for being with me tonight. And thanks to the LaGrange Park Antique Mall for generously allowing us to be here. Have a good evening.